Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Brittany with the Seniors Blue Book, and this morning we are talking about continuing care retirement communities with two experts, two friends of mine. We have Kristen from Village on the Isle. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning. Hello,
How are you this morning?
I'm doing really well. Very well.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we also have Mark, and Mark is with the Westminster properties, Westminster Pointe Pleasant and Westminster Manor. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.
How are you today?
Good. Things are good. The sun is somewhat shining and we're all breathing and walking around. So we got that going for us.
Exactly. We all woke up and we're upright. So
sometimes that's what you ask for.
So I want to thank both of you, first of all, for taking your precious time to spend the morning with us on Seniors Blue Book Live. Our goal is always just to educate and give resources for those out there, and virtually that seems to be the way right now to get information out there. So I'm going to first hand it over to Kristen, and Kristen is of course from Village on the Isle, which is in Venice in Sarasota County. And Kristen, tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a sneak peek into your life for a quick moment, and then let's kind of roll into your community.
Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. Again, my name is Kristen Myers. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director here at Village on the Isle. I've had the privilege of working in this community for the last 18 years. I just celebrated my 18th anniversary in July. So I've seen the industry really change and grow, and I've just have always continued to love it so much. Continuing care, particularly because it is such a niche and it's so different, it offers, I think, the best benefit for people looking into making a move in their adult senior years. So that's who I am. I've got two kids and work hard, and I have two dogs, and I'm always busy. So this is fun, though. I appreciate you guys inviting me to participate. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. I didn't realize that you had two pups. I have four, so maybe we can have like a play date.
Dog play date. I love it. Yes, and mine are pretty big. They're Newfoundland standard poodle and a golden doodle. So golden retriever and standard poodle. So between the two of them, we're at about 230 pounds.
I was just gonna say, I bet you all four of mine equal the weight of one of your pups. So
yep, they keep me busy. Trust me.
I bet. Well, I'm gonna ask you, I know we have a video to share about Village on the Isle, but today I think we want to kind of go into the details with both of you actually, of what does it look like to live in a continuing care community, and if there's a different verbiage that you'd like to use for your community. I know there's a few out there, but I want people to truly understand what it's like financially, and then how it is to, if somebody moves into your community in independent living, but they need services such as assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, how does that process work? Sure. So we're gonna start with you, Kristen, and would you like me to go ahead and share your video first?
Well, yes, everybody, I thought it would be good if I could just show a little video so that you could get an idea of the campus for those of you that may not have been able to visit Venice. We are located on the island of Venice. It's about a 17-acre campus, and we are in our 40th year of business. But for the last 3 or 4 years, we have gone through at least $100 million renovation. So we've added a brand new skilled nursing facility, brand new assisted living and memory care, in addition to new independent living buildings. So we have grown quite a bit and updated quite a bit. So I'm excited to share this video with you.
Awesome.
Those are our two new Emerald Terrace independent living buildings. That is our new assisted living and memory care building. And that is our brand new skilled nursing facility, all private rooms and private bathrooms. That is our original building, Matthew Hall. And we also have some small cottages on the property. Interior shots of our buildings. They all have lounges for recreation and fitness studios in each building. Common areas where you can gather and have parties. There's also some nice open terraces This is another one of our fitness studios in the Matthew Hall building. We have 3 dining venues. That's new for us as well. Here's some shots of some of our independent living offerings. We also use this video to show the things that can be done in Venice because we have people looking to eat outside of our area. I just got my daughter at 9. She's now 13, going on 18. So there we go. Just a little snapshot of the community. There's lots of walking paths around and a lot of community spaces and things like that. So we have about 247 independent living apartments in various sizes, including the 7 cottages that we have. In addition to the campus, as far as our healthcare continuum, the assisted living is also able to take care of 85 people in it, as well as 20 in our memory care. Our skilled nursing facility offers short-term rehab to outside community members, but only long-term care residency for our resident members. And so that totals about 64 residents. We've also partnered with Tidewell Hospice to offer some of our private rooms for long-term use for hospice needs as well. That's a recent thing that just started in July. So continuing care communities, I think Mark will agree, it's definitely, there's only about 2,000 in the United States, and there's about 72 of them that are in the state of Florida. So what you see a lot of times as a consumer when you're starting to research for yourself, there's a lot more assisted livings and independent rental communities that are very different. There's definitely similarities, I think everyone will agree, but there are some, the devil is always in the details. And so what I try and do when I have people who are coming and researching for a change or making a plan for themselves, continuing care communities are also known as life plan communities now. And I think that kind of almost better represents what we are, because it really is a plan. It's a long-term plan for a healthy adult senior that wants to, get away from the burdens of home ownership and having to deal with all of that, but also to secure their future healthcare needs so that they have that part taken care of. This is a great opportunity for all those planners that want to make sure all the ducks are in a row. And so there's lots of different continuing care or life care communities. They have different types of contracts. So it gets a little daunting when you're first starting to do your research. And I would recommend definitely research all the different, if you're really looking at continuing care. And what that simply means is that you're going to be offering predominantly an independent lifestyle, just like what folks are enjoying in their own home, maintenance free inside and outside, also with all sorts of social opportunities that are built in and meal plans and things like that. But it also is a long-term care product through the contract that you sign, which is very different than a lease contract. And so those long-term agreements are state approved contracts. And so we're overseen by the Department of Financial Services. So there's a lot of protections for the consumer. And there's a lot of different types of contracts. So that's where you have to kind of see what works for you. There's refundable contracts. They're kind of pay-as-you-go contracts. There's non-refundable contracts. And so what I try and do with my folks that come in is offer a little overview, but then get into the weeds a little bit more about our community and the 2 different distinct contract offerings that we offer, and go from there. So typically with continuing care or life care communities, you do pay up front what they call an entrance fee. And that entrance fee is really designed to give you a lifelong lease in that community. And so, you would be guaranteed care for life. Most of the communities that I'm aware of that offer this are also offering, if for something untoward would happen financially, you have a guaranteed place to stay, which offers a lifetime of protection for yourself, your spouse, and certainly gives your family peace of mind. And so that's kind of how that works. It differs in rental communities, because rental communities are a month to month or maybe a 12-month lease. Typically, they'll offer independent living. Some will now offer assisted living services, but they don't have all three components. So your long-term care or short-term rehab piece, you would have to go out into the community at the time that you need that and try and find, you know, what you're looking for at that point, which sometimes results in, for couples, being separated and not being on the same campus, if you will. And it can be a difficult, you know, thing for families having to come in and try to navigate that. With a life care community, that's taken away. You already know before you even need it who's going to be there to help you and navigate that continuum of care. So Village on the Isle, we have a licensed clinical social worker, a licensed practical nurse that works with our independent living residents, just getting to know them when they first move in. And then they're also their go-to resource, so that if they do have any kind of needs within our community, or even without, you know, going outside for specialists or those kind of referrals that might be needed, they get to know the families and those kind of things. And typically in independent living, I think, Mark, you'll agree, people live independently for many, many years in these communities. And so we do get to know the families, we get to know the folks that live here, and there's a definite relationship built and trust, so that when things start to happen as we age, which we all go through, that, you know, there's a comfort level of, I know who's going to be there to take care of me. I know how this is going to work, where I'm going to go, and what's going to be taken care of. So I don't have to worry about those things, and my kids don't have to worry about those things. And I think that that's what attracted me to coming to Village on the Isle so long ago, is having that plan in place, and also just how beautiful and wonderful the lifestyle is. You can't beat it. So that's kind of how we do it. I don't know, we can go into more details if you'd like, but I thought maybe turn it over to Mark and let him talk a bit about the Westminster group.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, it's certainly what you did a fantastic job covering that in a nutshell, but that's certainly a peace of mind to know that when you move into a community like yours, like both of yours, or I should say all three, because Mark, you're covering both, is that peace of mind that you don't have to move again, that you're on that campus, and that you know, like you talked about financially and everything, and care-wise, you are set for life, which is a huge, huge peace of mind for family members as well.
And another thing too, real quickly, is the friendships. I think Mark would, you know, definitely attest to watching those friendships bloom between other seniors, being with your cohorts and getting to know people, so that when things do come up or whatnot, you've got a built-in support network that you would not have necessarily at home. And then if you did need to leave a community because you really are not able to get your needs met there, which happens, unfortunately, then you're leaving that group of friends and starting all over again. And so those are some of the real hot buttons for me, that why I enjoy this kind of a community setting. That's, you know, I think probably one of the best things that I see here in my role.
One question too for both of you, I'll just kind of jump in as I think of them, is do you have to enter both of your communities, or all three of the communities, as an independent resident? Is that different at both your, you know, at both your companies, or how does that work?
Well, I can say for Village on the Isle, we primarily, for the memberships, you must enter into independent living. We do not have the ability on our campus to bring people from the outside into our assisted living or memory care, because it's really designed to just be there for the folks that have already come in and have aged in place. And then when they need it, it's guaranteed through their contract. And then as far as our skilled nursing facility, thank goodness, we do have the ability, based on if we have openings, to be able to take care of somebody who maybe is living at home and has some sort of hospitalization that requires skilled nursing. And so we can do that, but our long-term beds, round-the-clock care, that is reserved for our members. And it's for a reason, because these long-term care entrance fee contracts, they also are guaranteeing you a certain amount of money. So it's, I don't know how Mark's community, I think we'll get into it a little bit, let him speak, but the differences in these types of contracts, there's A contracts, B contracts, and C contracts, and they all kind of affect how you're paying as you move through the continuum. And so those are a little bit more detailed, but happy to, touch on it.
Awesome. Well, let's jump over to Mark, and you can kind of, work in that question into telling us about the Westminster properties.
All righty. So I'm, like Brittany said, I'm covering both Westminster Manor and Westminster Pointe Pleasant in Bradenton. They are two of only 3 continuing cares in Bradenton. So the company's been around Westminster itself. It started with the Manor building that actually opened in 1961. So we've been the same faith-based not-for-profit company for over 50 years. We're very proud of that fact. To touch on, well, basically everything Kristen said, ditto. Because she really covered it quite well. And I'm just trying to touch on some of the things she said. As far as regulations too, I don't want to harp on it more, but it's an important part to think about, because it is true. You're going into an environment that is more highly regulated and more, to a degree, secure than maybe just a freestanding assisted living. Actually, our CFO, who's been our CFO for 25 years, he told me once that there was a point where the only thing that was more highly regulated than continuing care communities were nuclear power plants.
You're absolutely right. I've heard that too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a product that the state and the company takes quite seriously on, being able to provide life care for people. So with that said, the other little difference between Village on the Isle and the Westminsters are probably, we do have a little more flexibility between people coming in independently as either entrance fee or rental. We do have a certain percentage of residents on both the Manor and Pointe Pleasant campuses that we can have as rental residents. That's usually set aside for rare cases where, maybe someone has maybe they're coming in a little on the tail end of assisted living and have a really strong long-term care policy that might cover a large part of assisted living where there's not as much risk of them running out of money possibly. The only real risk is, like Kristen said, the rental contracts people come into are not guaranteeing them access to the other levels of care. People become family to us, and obviously we were going to take care of them. But, in the 8 years, I've been with Westminster, I've had a handful of times where we've had rental residents that we did not have long-term care skilled nursing beds for. And to echo what Kristen said too, I have multiple people a week coming in saying, your name's on the hospital list, my loved one needs long-term care, Medicaid. And we can't provide that, because like I said, it's a very nice skilled nursing environment that we have reserved for residents that are here and have become family to us and that we take care of. So I'm trying to touch on everything that would pertain to Westminster. So to talk a little about the differences between Westminster Manor and Westminster Pointe Pleasant. Westminster Manor is on 21st Avenue West in Bradenton. It's about a mile south of downtown. We have apartment options. We have single family homes. We actually have a gated manufactured home community that's across the street from our main campus, where we have 47 homes there. So there are a variety of ways and price points that people can come into the community. The lowest one actually starting at an entrance fee of around $46,000. So I'm glad that we can provide that, because I've had a lot of people, and we sit down and talk to you about your finances. And I've seen people come in that I know if they tried to stay at home, they might not have ended up in as nice an assisted living or skilled nursing as the Manor, because their money would have run out and they would end up in real trouble. So I'm glad that we could have been there for them for that. As far as Pointe Pleasant is in downtown Bradenton on the Manatee River. It's comprised of the Towers and Shores buildings, which are both on the water. And it's also has the courtyard, which is actually a converted motor inn in downtown Bradenton on Old Main Street. So there are a variety of options on that campus as well. It's about double the size total of the Manor. And their price points can start, again, at entrance fees for studios around $61,000 and go up from there. I know people always want prices, so I want to give people kind of starting points, and we can discuss that as well. The other thing that Kristen said that's very true is the thing you don't always think about. And, you know, you watch people stay at home, and many of you might experience it over time. You know, people move, people pass away in your neighborhood, you know, even friends you have. It gets to be hard. And the biggest thing I've watched in the time I've been doing this is people coming in and saying, you know, I'm just lonely. And it kind of sneaks up on you. And I had a resident say, you know, the biggest benefit he saw of coming here was he does have a built-in group of family and friends here. You know, when he knows that he moves on to skilled nursing or to assisted living along the way, he has people here that are easy to get to that will visit him. You know, he has people that will drive him to the doctor. You know, you have a built-in group that is going through this together. I tell people, it's funny, I tell people I wear a t-shirt under my shirt every day that says, yeah, I know you're not ready yet. Because that is a common thing we hear. I'm not ready yet.
I love that.
Yeah, so just for perspective, my youngest residents at the Manor are 65, and I think probably in the late 60s for Pointe Pleasant as well. You know, the idea that's hard for people to get by is there are so many assisted livings, and this product, like Kristen says, is fairly unique. So everybody has the idea in their head that they're going to the home, you know. But if you come and look and meet people and talk to them, you'll find out that it's predominantly assisted living, and we're really just here to take things off your plate. We want you to be independent. We want you to enjoy life. We want you to just not have to deal with an air conditioner repair guy again. I don't know how many people love that,
That
but
might not show up.
I'm moving in.
And chances are they might take advantage of you. So I've had it happen to me even too. So it's not an age thing. So I think those are the main points, is that you're coming to a place for security. And to touch on the other part where she said, you know, that we're there for you. I've had countless, you know, residents, adult children who, you know, their parents are moving on to a higher level of care, or maybe their parents had just lived here for years and had just passed away. And I don't know how many times I've had them say, you know what, moving to the community was the best thing they could have done, because they know that they did not have to be jumping around finding different avenues for them to go down as their care needs, you know, changed. And nobody believes everything.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
Sorry. I mean, everyone, we all, another thing, I know Kristen will believe that everyone comes in saying, you know what, I'm just going to pass away quietly in my sleep. But that's not, that's not what happens. You know, people
like in the movie The Notebook.
Yes, just.
Well, I can tell you what
everyone is just like The Notebook.
I've been really excited to see kind of the trends that are changing in our industry and really in our clientele. What I've noticed just in the last 4 to 5 years is that people are much more educated. They're much more willing to look at this as an option. You know, our World War II generation and before really felt that they didn't want to leave their home, and they wanted to kind of just dig their heels in and stay, because the options that were available to them were just not that pleasant. They were either far away from family, or they just weren't, you know, aesthetically pleasing, and just not a lot of offerings way back. And so it got a connotation that, you know, you just didn't want to do that. But the generations that we're working with now, they've seen their parents enter into communities like this, or they know someone. There's definitely a lot more buzz about the lifestyle and what it can offer a healthy senior. And so I've seen in my community, by changing basically everything, as a 50-year-old community or 40-year-old community, being able to offer, people are coming from much larger, much nicer homes. They're looking for much more of a lateral move, and knowing that they've got this peace of mind and this financial benefit of the contracts, that has really improved people coming in at a much younger and healthier age. And so it's not the home anymore. It really isn't. It's much more like living in a condo with all sorts of amenities and services to make life easier and enjoyable. And then it also takes that next step, which many of the gated communities, obviously they don't offer those kind of things, but it's very similar in feel. At least that's our community right now. Definitely building larger units so that they're more appealing. And even our existing buildings, every time we go in to renovate a unit, it's not just paint and paper. We're actually taking them to studs, enlarging them, making open kitchens where, you know, the finishes are much more modern and those kind of things. And that all really helps with the stigma, I think.
No,
these kind of communities.
No,
and so
100%.
Because you've got a lot of competition. Let's face it, there's tons and tons of you know, companies that are building independent rentals and offering all sorts of services. And so, you know, life plan communities, especially ones that have been around, they've got a challenge to meet. And so I feel like Village on the Isle has been doing that. And I've been very pleased just with the interactions of the clients. I mean, hearing Mark say that he's got people in their 60s living in his community, I do as well. Predominantly, they're in their 70s to early 80s when they come into independent living. But the lifestyle is great. I'll tell you, I would do it. If I was, and I'm by myself, I would definitely come into the community as early as I could afford to do. So.
I think too, Mark, touching on where you talked about your t-shirt that you wear, that I'm not ready. I know my past working with a lot of families, it's when they move into a community and they experience what it's like to get that, whether, like you said, it's a maintenance thing or meals or housekeeping, whatever it might be for them, socialization, they say, I should have done this sooner. I mean, how many times have you guys heard that exact phrase?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
I'd be retired if I
know, right? You're not kidding.
Your communities are
done
perfect.
This years ago. We should have done this years ago.
I know.
Yes.
Exactly. Your communities are a perfect example of that phrase for people to be able to come in and experience life at the right time. You know, when you should be able to relax and enjoy the things that you like to do.
Yeah, we both get it. It's hard, and especially as you keep saying I'm not ready and you keep waiting, it does. You know, making a move to a place does not get easier. Like, it's not something that you know is going to be easier along through time.
I always tell people that this is one thing in life that doesn't get easier the longer you put it off.
Right.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
There's a lot more challenges down the road, so you want to do this when you're healthy and able to enjoy the benefits of it. So
we're always preaching. Oh, sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. I didn't know if we were going to talk a little bit about contract types, you know, or those kind of details. I know some of the larger, like Westminster, may have even more contract offerings. So
actually, it's probably less.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, we kind of have it.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. I mean, we kind of have it simplified. It's basically called a modified B contract.
Yep.
So people pay an entrance. So if you're coming to the communities at age 83 or younger, you basically have 3 options available for the entrance fee. There is a 90% refund option where you're paying a higher entrance fee. Just for example, let's say the entrance fee is $100,000, you would pay 70% more. So you pay $170,000 in entrance fee, but whether you leave the community or when you pass away, your estate would get 90% of that money back, or $153,000 back. The 50% option works that you pay basically 40% more and you get 50% back. So on 100, and you pay 140, and then you get 70,000 back. But most people do the traditional entrance fee, which certainly probably Kristen has the ability to. There are times where we have incentives or options where we might have some discounts available on the entrance fee. I know at Westminster, we give credit to people that have served in the military, teachers, nurses, policemen, firefighters. And on the other side, we actually have it's called a benevolent assistance grant, honorable service grant. And it's for anyone that has been in a paid church position or faith-based position for 10 years or more. That can be a church secretary, choir director, whatever. And it's actually money that comes from the Westminster Foundation that helps cover a percentage of the entrance fee. So there are a lot of different ways to finance, the entrance fee. And the traditional entrance fee, people always think that, they hand us this money and they don't get a penny back. Basically the way it works here at Westminster, if the person passed away in the first year of living here, the estate would get 75% of the money back. In the second year, 50% back, and there wouldn't be a refund after 2 years. So that's kind of, I think, probably the norm for most places. And again, the other two things I do want to mention while we're educating people about all this, it's important when you're looking at any community, I believe, to kind of know the difference between it being a not-for-profit and a for-profit community. The Westminster communities and Village on the Isle are both not-for-profit. That idea and the benefit to you is that the monies that are made go back into the community. We also don't have to operate at high a margin because we don't have to pay shareholders. So your year-to-year increase is probably going to be less than you in another community, and especially one that's a freestanding, say, assisted living, because the entrance fee monies you pay cover most of the time, and I don't know if Kristen's works the same way. For Westminster, entrance fee monies pay capital improvements for the community. So that's projected 10 years down the road, needing a new air conditioner, roof, that kind of thing. The monthly fees people pay cover operations. I don't know, again, about Village on the Isle, but like 70% of our operations are labor. So the only thing that would really affect your annual increase strongly is the labor market, generally. When you're at, again, I'm just trying to compare the differences. If you're at like a rental assisted living, they have to get their capital and operations budget out of the monthly fee you pay. So there could be higher increases if they're projecting they need to do improvements later on. So just kind of understand those two differences, and the fact that a for-profit is probably going to need to show higher increases because they have investors. We all invest money in companies and stocks, a lot of us, and want to see returns. So that's no different for a for-profit senior living company. So at the end of the day, I think my background's in psych, and I know Kristen's in social work. So I think for us in our hearts, coming to work for a nonprofit is important for our own well-being and sense of self. So I just want everyone to kind of understand that that's how those two things work, and make sure you're asking those questions when you're going to different places to look.
Typically, you'll find not-for-profit communities are mission-driven, and so it does really affect the way that it does business and how it treats its employees and staff and how it treats its residents. And those kind of things are, intangible, but felt very strongly. And that is one of the reasons why I've stayed in the not-for-profit continuing care world for as long as I have. I just really appreciate the fact that the residents come first. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that Mark feels the same way. As far as our contract differences, we really do have two offerings right now. We are looking to have a fully refundable option at the beginning of this year. That's something that we haven't had in a few years. So with these contracts, there is a lot of research that goes into being able to offer them. And then they also have to be approved by the state of Florida through the Department of Financial Services. And so we're in that process right now. And of course, not-for-profits, Mark will probably agree, he has a board of trustees that help kind of navigate the community because we don't have management companies normally. And Village on the Isle is all Village on the Isle staff. So we have an executive team that helps run the community. And then we also report to the board of trustees, who are usually local financial planners, doctors, attorneys, realtors, any kind of business folks that have an interest in, want to serve. It's definitely a working board for sure. So those kind of things we have to go through. So we'll be going through that process to hopefully be able to offer either a 70 or 90 or maybe both a contract, which I'm excited about because I do feel that is an option for some people that are looking for that. What we offer right now is a modified B contract and the truest type of life care contract that you can get is a type A contract. So just briefly to explain how those work, the life care, true life care type A contracts, the entrance fee is generally higher, but it also locks in your monthly service fee so that as you move from one level of care to the other, it stays the same. So whatever you're paying in independent living, when it's time for you to move to assisted living, follows you. So very important for couples because you typically, if you have two people living in an apartment, they've got a single person monthly fee and a second person fee. Our second person fee is $917. So to give you a scenario, if a spouse needs to go into memory care and they're under the life care plan or the nursing home permanently under the life care plan, the first person that goes into that higher level of care takes the monthly service fee for the single person. So let's say, as an example, it's $3,000 for the first person, $900 for the second person. So you can have a couple being in two different places on our campus receiving two definitely different types of services for the same price. And that's because of that type A contract that secures that. That contract is very, very good for people who do not have long-term care insurance or that have long-term care insurance that's just not a very rich policy. And so we do dig into those kind of things. Certainly these kind of communities have to be affordable for people. You want to make sure that you're fitting them with the right type of contract and making sure that you're doing no harm by having somebody come in paying something that's not affordable. So trying to figure out all of those details. We typically offer a financial application that we will review with the client and kind of figure out which plans would be best for them. Our other modified B plan is the same way, works exactly the same way. The big difference is that when it comes time for skilled nursing long-term care, meaning a permanent placement in the skilled nursing facility, they would pay a resident discounted rate for that care. Otherwise, that kind of plan usually will work very well for somebody who's got a pretty rich long-term care policy that they can utilize in our skilled nursing should they need it.
Yeah.
So those are the two that we offer. The refundable portion, they are refundable, but only over a 4-year period. So it reduces 2% per month for the first 4 years. So that I always tell my clients, if that's something that you feel like you're nervous about, you're not sure if you're going to like it, trust me, you make this move, usually within 3 months, you're saying, oh my God, why didn't I do this a year ago? But on the very off chance, at least gives you some sense of peace that you would not lose all those funds should you really feel like this lifestyle isn't really what you thought it was going to be. I will say I don't have that happen very often. I don't think Mark does either.
Yeah, we have
and planning, and I'm working with people. It could be a couple of years before they actually move into the community.
Yeah, and we have, but again, it doesn't really happen very often, but we have on the part where I said if someone passes away after 2 years, there's no refund. That same traditional entrance fee option does have the prorated time down. And honestly, yeah, it rarely happens that someone
moves
leaves.
out for lack of not liking the lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also a benefit that we didn't mention that I thought I would put out there that really differentiates this type of community from the rental options is the tax advantages that you can get through the long-term care contract that you're signing with us. And so it's very similar. It's part of the same tax code of the long-term care, where you can claim a portion of your premiums if you're paying for long-term care because it's pre-need medical. And so the entrance fee, depending on the plan and how much you're paying, for my community, it could be $25 to 40% of your entrance fee up to over $122,000 can be written off the year you move in. So you're already at a benefit if that's something that you can, use. And every year, the monthly service fee is usually around 25 to 35% deductible, depending on the community.
Yeah.
As far as I know.
Well, it depends on whatever the IRS says that year. So
yeah, it's your 7%. You need to, these are little details, but I mean, I've been,
but there's certainly a tax.
feel like for certain people that itemize their taxes, or if they have a bad year medically, it certainly can come into play and not offered in, other avenues. So
that's an awesome point to bring up. Well, I want to thank you both. You guys have offered so much information. I know before we even went on here, I said, I'm going to learn a ton, and I have. You both are such experts at what you do. I know, Kristen, you said you've been there for 18 years, which is amazing. So you started when you were like 23, right?
There you go.
And Mark, you've been
we'll go with that.
Mark, you've been at Westminster for 8 years. So you both really have been in those arenas and know so much and offer so much. So I really quickly want to share my screen just to show your guys' websites, because people will be itching to learn more about the communities you both are at. So Village on the Isle is villageontheisle.com. And of course, with Kristen, you can give her a call. Kristen, is this your phone number right here, the 202 one?
It's our office line, the sales and marketing. That's our sales line. And then we have our marketing assistant will be able to get you to someone who can help you. We also have just updated this this website, and you can go on our website and build your own brochure. So I encourage anybody to go onto the website, take a look. And if you have further questions, want any kind of additional information, our contact numbers are all over the website. So
awesome. I love this island air with retirement flair. And,
yes.
and Mark, I've got both of your websites with Pointe Pleasant and Manor pulled up. And because being happy never gets old, you guys have the best slogans.
Love it. I love it.
I love it. So this is Westminster, Pointe Pleasant, Florida, FL.org. And then, of course, Westminster Manor, FL.org for, but good old Google and the internet is easy to look up information. But make sure whoever has tuned in to this panel discussion, I hope you've taken away as much as even, again, our just general discussion with each other, and check out these communities, give them a call. Again, Mark and Kristen, thank you so much for your time this morning and education. I really appreciate it.
Thank
my pleasure.
you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you both soon.
You too.
Alrighty.
Take care, Mark.
You too.